seriously, I have at home.
Okay, ladies, good morning.
Good morning.
We are starting our first month of the Tuscany quilt, and there are 9 months. I'm when we start today, I'm going to give you a lot of hints and tips as far as how to make the quilt easier to make when you get here, and if you have bought your whole kit and you're going to be carrying it back and forth, this will make it easier to keep things from getting confused. I call it stirred with a stick, where you know how you get everything laid out, everything's going good, and then you have to put it away, and then when you get it out, everything's got to be sorted and put back out. I'm going to show you some things that I did that I think are helpful. So for those of you that are watching the recording, I will be doing this each time because there were a few of you that were not able to come to the class, and it really is a fun and easy quilt, and I hope the way I'm going to describe it will make it even easier. Also, if you're confused about something, some people were concerned about certain blocks, then you'll be able to see step by step how we're doing it, and so maybe that will help too. So it will be on YouTube. After class, I'll do the stuff I have to do, which I don't know yet what that is, but I know we've done it before. And then I'll put it on YouTube, and you'll be able to watch it at your leisure. So hopefully that'll be helpful even for you that come, because you can look it over. All right, so the first, and I hope you can hear me because my microphone is not that great. The first, I made notes. I made notes so I wouldn't get scattered because I started a new medicine, and sometimes they said you lose track of your words. Yes, and I said, well, does that mean when it happened before, it won't happen now? Okay, well, we talked about it's nine months. It's 10 to 12, but you're welcome to stay until we close at 3. And if you want to work on it, and especially for those of you whose kits are going to be here, you may want to cut your pieces for next month, just so when you come in, you won't have to worry about cutting, because that's the first thing we're going to do is cut. We're not going to cut the whole thing. It's the first Tuesday and the first Saturday of the month. And then do you have your pattern? Does everyone have their pattern? I want you to see how nice these patterns are. I put mine in a plastic bag because I won't lose it. So I put mine in a plastic bag. And then, so here is month 1. 1 page. And it's written in English, and I can understand it. So I'm very happy. All right, do you have it?
I was just wondering where.
They're probably on the second shelf right there for someone. Okay, so each month you will have one of these, and that's what we'll use. I would go ahead and bring your whole instruction kit in case we talk about something else, because sometimes people work ahead and they find errors or something. Yes, Kathy?
Lisa's on her way. She was on the phone to her doctor.
Okay. Okay. Well, she'll have the recording. Yes. Okay. So I was trying to figure out how I could make this as easy as possible, because some of our participants they are very new to quilting, and so I just want everybody to have fun. Before I go farther, I took a big bag and I put the pattern for that month, and after I had cut my pieces, I put all that inside, and then I have some extra things that I did for the class. You'll find out what this is going to be, and I put all of that in that bag, So whatever month I'm working on is going to be in a bag. And that helps me a lot because I was late getting here too. Mike brought breakfast. All right. Before we start cutting, I want to kind of go over. All right. I don't know what I did, but I either have an extra strip or something. All right. I had notes. Okay. Each month we'll make multiple blocks, but they're the same block. So this month we're making these. And there's 8. Nope.
No, there's 12.
There's 12. Yeah, see, that's why instructions are good. Yes, if you look down at the bottom of your instructions, we make 12. And what those are is the center of this quilt. So after this month, you're going to have a significant part of your quilt finished. And these go together pretty easy. Excuse me. If you pay monthly, which is fine, either way is fine. I'm just going to explain how it works. If you pay monthly, you have to pay for next month before you leave, and you have to leave your kit here. So if you want to stay and cut or sew or whatever, now, but it all has to stay here until your kit is paid. Okay. If you paid for your kit, you can take it back and forth. I'll just warn you, though, it's easy to leave things at home, especially if you work on them at home. So just be careful. All right, on the cutting instructions, we substituted the 108 for 45 on the gray weave. So they give you a cutting instruction, which is probably different than the way I do it. I'm going to show you the way I do it because it's faster and you don't have to deal with all that fabric. It's so much easier. Okay, cutting chart, page 1 and 2, and I've got are optional. So if you're at home, you can use it. If you're here, you can use it, but I'm going to show you how I did it, and I always try to find the easiest, quickest way. All right, you will save fabric by not pre-cutting. So let me explain that. Okay, on your instruction sheet under materials, it says to cut a 9-inch width of fabric, a 6-inch width of blah, blah, blah. Okay, if you do that, you're going to have strips about this big that you're going to toss. Unless you're one of those that does those scrappy. The way I cut it, you're not going to have any waste at all. So hopefully that's a plus there. They do that because not all people cut the same, and also they like to sell you fabric. We all do, right? We like buying. And you'll save time and not have to juggle large amounts of fabric if you do the way I cut instead of the way they do it. All right, now we're to the block. I did this one ahead of time, but it was probably a month or so ago because I had been so sick in the fall that I thought, what if I blah blah blah. So anyway, I got it all ready. So here we go. The first thing I want you to do, well, I want you to notice that we have these pieces A, B, C, and then you go to D, E, F, etc. So as we cut these, as we cut these, you're going to label them. This is your center, and then here's A, B, C, and what I do is I also put them in order this way. If you'll notice the way I had it stacked in my bag, I had them so that the next one came next. You know, ABC, because it's kind of like when you do paper piecing. If it's already where it belongs, all you have to do is pick it up, stitch it. Okay, so what I want you to do first is out of your navy, I want you to cut a 6 3/4 inch width of fabric. Now I can go through all of it and then you can do it as you want, but all I need you to have is one of each. All the blocks take one piece, so if you can get one of each, we can do the sewing, and then you can have the rest of the time to cut and sew. And I'm hoping by the time you leave, you'll have a pretty good start because it didn't take me long. Okay, so let me show you how I fold the fabric. I'm gonna mess these up. Okay, so the 10-yard, the navy is one of the bigger pieces. So what I have done is, if you'll notice, all of your fabrics are marked. They are marked with the whatever the reference number was in the when it said what to buy. So in other words, this says 29513N, and that's what's on the end of the bolt for navy, and that's also, I think it's listed in there. So what I did is I took my 45 and I folded it in half. A lot of you have seen this widthways, so that I've only got this side. Actually, I lay it this way. I took my 45 and I folded it widthways. So here I've got fold to salvage. Sorry for standing away from the camera a little bit. For those of you watching at home, I'm better seamstress than I am video person. So that way, I can fold this up, and when you get to that big 108 piece, this is really nice. So that way I have just this amount that I'm working with, so if I'm at my table, I don't have to run back and forth from the cutting table to my sewing machine. So we'll cut that piece, and then I just folded my end back and pinned that back on so I remember which one, because it's easy to get the colors mixed up, and I just put it back in my bag. So that's going to save fabric, save time, and it's going to save you both of those things next time too. So it's going to take you longer to cut today, but it's making it easier for the rest of the 9 months too. So,
So we're cutting 6 3/4 by the width of the fabric for the navy.
yes, yes, you are. So, what was the question?
I picked all my own colors, and now I don't even remember which colors.
Did you mark them?
I marked each block.
Okay, that's good. So then, so you did 9. So which pieces are in?
Yeah, and it's easy, makes it easier. You don't have to go over a short piece instead of a full one.
You're doing it right. Now lay it out and just start folding your ends.
Sorry, I don't know my young man. Which tall, I don't have my paper tall.
You can open the whole again.
Well, so this is you're gonna give you. So you took those.
This is the first thing we've done.
This gray.
Although she did say, as a test, and I was going to get some at home. Your pieces in bags, because you can cut again. Yeah.
may go to Dollar General.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. I was just trying to help. Yeah.
And then she said to make sure that you put your labels on what's left. Okay, I heard that.
It was so long ago I took out the colors.
I don't know. It was on the top of your box.
There it is.
And then we can put this
On
big piece
this
away.
one, that takes.
We're just cutting one.
Well, this one is gonna be for all of the blocks.
No, I actually, for this little side, we are good to go. Now, I might get some cutting board. You're fine. I just, but I did the corner. It was why I asked you about.
So is this new box, did you have that at home?
I had it at home.
Yeah, I wanted to try to find another one of those. Guess what, I have all those completely applicated, or, well, ironed off.
I'm looking at
Across
the
the
chair.
lines.
Light blue and green.
Who made that?
Teresa Carvine, so I imagine she did. Yeah.
Gray texture.
Okay, I am looking for.
The gray texture.
You looking for that?
This side with my little box. This,
Yeah.
So I think it was instead of the two blues, I was these two purples.
Hey.
I think this is your name.
oh,
Because it's.
I supposed to figure it out like here, so I got this.
So, yeah.
I bought it back 3 weeks ago, and I sent out several. But you never have an idea.
And the first one was 6 3/4. Correct.
So you think you had black and then
Yellow each, one and a half.
I have one bag.
that should be the same.
No, she's saying one of these has it.
So you should
I have mine right here because I'm referring to it.
So we could put the thingy in with it today.
Yeah, yeah. And this is the one we're doing. Yeah, first block. Of course, there are 12 of them to make. Did you hear her say we could stay until as late as 3 to sew if we wanted?
I probably will.
Oh, there's 3 blues. And then the green goes in the middle, which is, I think, your yellow.
I left mine laying on my chair.
And then,
Here.
well, this one has a 20 in it. Yes, and that is,
6 3/4. By what the-
but that's the dark gray. Yeah, but that might be for a different block. Oh, okay. Well, you've got dark gray in all of them.
You know, it's not bothering me.
That's okay. It'll be easier.
I think the dark gray is.
You're like
Because she's
me,
right-handed.
I cut to the right also.
I cut wherever it's convenient because
But
I
if
can
I don't
cut
have
with
my
either hand.
machine in
I
the
agree.
bed, I'm just.
Yeah.
And then maybe what was.
So, with the fabric, right, this is the fabric.
Yes.
Yes, that's what, because that's the right size grit, but I'm not sure which one. I think that's these squares. You were gonna do purple and purple? Yeah, with the yellow and the sun. But I don't know. That's okay, because.
This class has a whole bunch of people that I've not been in classes with. I mean, I know you all.
I've been in a class with her.
This is a little more than 6,
I haven't been with her.
but
Have we ever been in a
Susie,
class
this
together?
one was a 6
I don't think so.
But we sat next to each other.
Yeah. Susie, didn't you do fire in the hole? I
That would
did.
make sense.
Yeah, her and I were in that class together. Yeah.
I've never been in classes, I've never been in class with Simone.
Yeah, Simone's always working.
Yeah, I'm always working.
This is the only one I haven't been.
Definitely.
Oh.
Yes, she did.
Okay, so it's 6 3/4.
Okay, so you do not have to get all 12 cut out. You will eventually, but I'm shooting for everyone having at least one piece. which will probably be, you'll have 2 pieces because of the way we cut. So that I can show you how to sew them. Believe it or not, and I included, some of us have trouble getting those bars on the right side of the log cabin because it's upside down and backwards. Or at least it is to me.
So can I ask a silly, stupid question?
Oh, always.
This piece of fabric is for all 12, right?
Yes.
Okay, because we're gonna cut this down into 12 strips, it says.
Not that way, right?
No, this way.
Yes. Yes, you are. And that's what I'm saying. If you're a fast cutter and you don't want to feel rushed, you can go ahead and cut those 12 strips. I am not opposed to that. Okay. I just want to have enough time before we're done that I can show you how to put it together. What's that?
Oh, 12 is gonna be each.
You're going to cut
I
1
didn't read the
and
sentence.
6. Yes.
So
You're
you
gonna
want
have
us to
12
do
each
all
of
of
this
these?
and 12 each of that.
What I do is,
Yeah.
say what?
You showed us how to do the first one, so we're supposed to just do all.
No, right now you're cutting this.
Oh,
Only the blue.
And if you're confident, then yes, you can start the next one. But let me do this for the people on the. Let me explain the cutting directions a little bit more. I'm going to get it closer. Another thing that I do is I put a check mark where I am working so my eye automatically goes there so I don't have to read this all the time. I'm not a good reader. I'm just not. So I check the navy and then I see that I need 1 strip of 6 3/4 with the fabric of, and I'm talking about the navy. We're cutting the navy. So I see how I put a little line under it. So I know I need that. Then it says cut them into 12 strips each, 1.5 inches by 6 3/4. So in other words, when we cut our 6 3/4, now we're going to turn it on its side and we're going to cut 1 3/4. And you only have to cut, well, there's 4 thicknesses here, so you only have to cut 3 times. And you've got that one done. And when I'm done, I put that check mark. Okay, so I underlined that I needed 12 and what size, and so I can do that check mark because I just cut that. And then it wants 1 that is 1.5 inches by 5 3/4. Now, that's one that I definitely underline and then I check mark when it's done. Let me find my navy ones. So see, here's my navy. And as I'm reading, I put 12, 1.5 by 5 3/4.
So that is where I do 12 of those traces?
No, I don't know what I did. I put the wrong.
She said we only need 3.
Well, you're gonna
You need 12. Well, you're only going to have to cut 3 times if you leave it folded because you have 4 layers. So if you cut 3 1.5 strips, that's 12. Does that make better sense? Okay, and what I did for this one is I wrote my measurements down on my scrap of paper. Okay, so 12 strips of 1.5 by 6 3/4, and 1. No, that's this right here. That's the letter I. Here, letter I. And see, I've got. Oh, you can't see it. There we go. 12, 1.5 by 6 3/4 navy, and then an I. And I make my tag while I'm reading, so I don't ever have to go back and look. And then after I cut them, I put a pin through them, and then that's how I end up with these stacks.
Okay, so I don't know why I cut extras of these, because it just says, oh, cut into 12 strips each of the 6 3/4 and the 5 3/4. Thank you, Kathy. Kathy tried to tell me that and it wasn't connecting. I didn't go over this week. I did this a few months ago, but so I'm gonna, now that you go ahead.
No, you go ahead first.
Well, I was gonna say, now that you know how to do that, this color, you should be able to go on to your other.
Yeah. Okay, so the 5 3/4, you cut this down to 5 3/4, and then you cut your 3, because I'm doing 4 layers.
Okay, so the question was, for the 5 3/4, do you cut that down? And the answer was yes. So out of that strip, the 6 3/4 that you cut, you're going to have enough to cut all of these strips. So after you cut your 6 3/4 by 1.5 inches, you're going to cut 12 more, and then you'll cut that end off at 5 3/4.
And what are we doing with this piece?
I put all my scraps together
And put them in a bag?
and put them in a separate bag, because it's too easy to get them, and then you've got them in your block next thing you know, and you get to know the ripper again.
How do you get in my head like that?
I think it's just generic how we do it.
Like, that's what I would do.
Well, you're human, just like the rest of us.
Okay,
All right.
after you cut all your 6 3/4, right? Okay,
Yeah,
after
you cut all the
then
6
take that piece and turn it so that your hole is at the top or the bottom, and cut off so it's 5 3/4 inches wide instead of 6 3/4. And then we'll turn it back around and do your 12.
Letter pillows that make you make in high school when you first went out. Yeah, there's a lot of.
Gonna make sure there weren't any other things that. Okay. Most of them you're gonna cut 2 size strips from. So the way you're doing this color, you're gonna do similar, just different measurements for your other colors.
Okay, so now I need to mark this.
Do you need scrap paper? Okay.
5 3/4.
There too. Okay, I want to see here.
Right, needs to be 5 3/4. No, that one mark. Yeah.
Okay, I want to just make one more observation. On the light blue texture, whatever color it is that you're using for that, you'll notice that that is the 2 strips that make the strip set. It says 1 strip, 1 3/4 by width of fabric for strip set, and 1 set, 1 3/4 by width of fabric cut into 12 3/8 by 3 1/8, and that is for your A strip. And that strip is right here.
You're supposed to put this on your strips so you can keep them. Yeah, you're welcome.
Then when you get down to the jade green, you see where they cut a 2.5 inch width of fabric for the strip set, and that's these. Then you have all your grays. I'm gonna get mine in order.
And that's your scrap. Okay, Teresa,
Yes.
are we used to this? This is what's left over out of that with the fabric.
That's a scrap.
Okay.
If it doesn't say it on your sheet, you're not gonna. If not, it's in your bag, your scrap bag, and we can always go back and get it.
Or if we need a little piece or something somewhere that we screwed up. So.
See, I didn't cut that inch off of my whole strip when I did my 5 3/4.
Okay.
I just cut 12 more and then cut the ends off because that way if I messed up and I needed a 6 3/4,
You had it.
I had it. And guess
That
what?
makes
I
sense.
did need. But
Well,
you
now she tells us. Now she gives us that little clue.
Yeah, we'll know for the next color.
She had already said it and I didn't want to be
Oh,
like, no, you can't do that.
but I haven't cut it yet.
Oh, okay. Next time I'll.
No, think about this instead.
Oh, I already did that.
Yeah, you did too. So you're on the road already. The road pollution.
So,
Okay, so I got that one now. Do you have a double?
mine was not
Double it up. So you got 4 layers. Then on the
I do that fabric.
now I need
As you cut, if you'll lay your pieces in order for when you get ready to sew, this helps too. I'm going to show you another way to do it that's that makes it easier, but I'm just going to show you as I go. Okay, I missed something. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K.
That's a big piece. Must be using this a lot.
Yes.
Oh, the big one.
Yeah.
Well, and see, this is the nice thing. You're gonna fold it and then roll it, and the next time you go to mess with it, it's gonna be so much easier. You want help?
Probably
I got the price of the class right there to know this.
Yes.
It's just, I gotta stand up.
And a friend of mine, she taught me that when I first started quilting, probably almost 20 years ago. And that was the first quilt class I ever took, and I thought, why didn't I know this before?
I know. What I said about getting so overwhelmed by all the fabric in the kit. This is why, because I didn't know this.
Yeah, this is a good trick.
This is a good trick.
Hey, Teresa, I have to tell you something. It's totally off subject.
Okay.
I almost have all of my Promise to Wise Missouri blocks applications.
Oh, good.
It sat for 3.5 years,
Uh-huh.
but I took it out and I started working on it. And I've made it 6. I haven't worked on it in 3.5. But I'm real pleased with it. The only thing that mine's going to be very unique. Okay, because I traced all of the pattern pieces onto the paper box. I traced it on the paper side. So everything is reversed.
Oh, well, yes, that was one of the problems with that pattern. That's
Yeah.
why I did the class.
I know, and I
Because my
remember you
first
saying
block
it.
was back.
I remember you saying it, and I thought, well, you know what? They're all done. I'm not gonna.
I
do
would
it.
not
It's-
worry about it.
Mine's just gonna be unique.
And you will, now that you have done that, when you look at people's Across the Wide Missouri quilts, you will say, oh, they didn't know that trick then.
Yeah, exactly. And I've almost decided to go back. I haven't done it yet, but you know all the flowers that have the little tiny round circles?
Uh-huh.
I was gonna satin stitch those by hand because I didn't really know if I could do a nice applique circle that size.
Just slow. Also, I did use the buttonhole stitch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But if you use a zigzag, it's easier on those little tiny.
okay, that's good to know. But I had to tell you that I finally got some work done on it.
It's everything done.
I haven't worked on it since before COVID. That was in 2020 when I got COVID. So I think it overwhelmed me.
I forgot what I did.
Okay, anyone need help?
Question.
Yes.
When I bought my fabric, had my add on extra fabric,
Yes.
like a quarter of a yard here and there. Do I have to do 3/8 inch?
Well, if you want to keep your hair while you're sewing the block. Yeah.
It's just
Okay, this was a very good question that I want to make sure I'm close enough to the microphone so you can hear. The question was, when I cut, do I have to do the 3/8 and the 1/8 and those odd measurements? Because some of us, and I'm included, that it's harder for me to remember, and you have to be more accurate. But the fact is, the more accurate your cutting is, the easier your block is going to go together. If you would cut an 1/8 less or an 1/8 more, when you go to put your block together, you're going to have pieces that are too long or too short. Now, some people don't care about that and they just adjust their seam allowances, but an 1/8 inch seam allowance to me just seems too small, and I'm afraid it will come out too soon when my quilt is being used. So that's a long answer to a short question, but that gives you the explanation.
okay. I was afraid that's what you were going to say, but I'm about to ask. Me? Really? You're asking me that?
Are we making progress?
Rachel will not do 1/8 or 3/8. She'll make it a 1/2 inch because she can't see the 3/8.
Oh,
So for her, she just
well, she'll figure it out.
And I've always
so
heard,
she's not doing this anyway.
I've
Okay.
always heard cut up and then trim at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, she'll work it out.
She doesn't really like to do a whole lot of piecing anyway.
That's probably why.
Because of her
Yeah.
eyes.
Mhm.
She makes beautiful quilts,
She does.
but she just can't get into that. I want to take that because that's a unique stripper trim. And real interesting. The problem is it's like, isn't that in March?
Yes.
Yeah, it's right before I go to California.
Okay.
Again.
I borrowed a highlight a long time ago and I forgot to give it back. Mike's gonna charge me a runner fee for it.
He's always done.
I said, you mean like checking out the light? He said, yeah, yeah, call. Crap, man. I really like your thing about doing it this way.
Yes.
Yeah, I did. I hope you guys talked about it.
I feel like I'm folding Go buy it?
Yes, but then once you get it folded and you get ready to cut, you're just gonna say,
Yeah, it does make it. Yeah, and you know, I've done this, but I don't leave it that way for some reason. I just fold it back down.
well,
Like an idiot.
my eyes, with all these colors being so close,
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure that I had my
yeah.
color mark. If you can,
No.
if you're gonna
No,
stick
my-
a quarter in,
I
so I don't hurt anything, I got one. But I think I saw. Yeah, mine went in
That'll
the
be
same.
alright. Okay. Like, uh-oh.
Fine. Did you figure out your color?
Oh, I
Hopefully. It might turn out a little funky, but it'll be great. I mean, you've got all those
look to
colors.
see if you had any more out of it.
Okay, now I didn't have the front page of the pattern out. So you that are watching the video, I want to pull that out here so I can show you the picture. I've got the quilt hanging here. Okay, so today we are doing these 12 blocks, this row and this center. So, you know, when you get these blocks made, you've got a good portion of your quilt made, and they go pretty fast. So these are the blocks that you're working on today. We won't set our blocks together until the end, but I just want you to see what progress you're making. That's how my brain works. I thought I marked all of these, but evidently not.
Did you already have yours cut out for class? That would confuse me.
Makes it way more confusing.
Yeah.
These are the pieces you're cutting, and they will turn in to this.
Yes, but so that most of them I just switched out.
When your pieces get together, they will look like this.
It's not the same switched out. I don't know how to explain it. It's just, I made it.
Oh, no.
I'll figure it
I bet you don't know how to do it.
She's a good seamstress.
What?
Our
She is.
quilter, she's very good. So
She is very good.
I'm sure hers will be beautiful.
What happened to people are doing this?
Well, some they're not taking the class, but we have 11 signed up for coming to the class with either the kit or monthly. But some just bought the kit. It's been a popular quilt. And then we have 1 or 2 extra kits available now. We've had a couple of people that had some health issues. So if you know somebody that would like to do it, it would be in this color scheme though. But Gracie, oh yes, Gracie would enjoy it because it's not hard.
And it's not paper easy.
Nope.
So I said, oh, that's too hard.
No, it's really not. Well, that was one of the first things that I realized about quilting is some of those quilts that look the hardest are really not, because it is how they cut the blocks and set them that gives you an illusion.
Yes.
Yes.
Like the
The
snail.
snail's trail. Yes.
Although I will confess, what is that one with those little tiny blocks that yeah,
Was it Lizzie Albright?
that one. That one was good.
It was very small pieces, and the patterns were not written well. They were confusing.
Yeah.
That's why a class was good for that one. And a lot of them, I ended up just doing raw edge appliques so that they would look like the pieced block, but they would lay flat and look pretty. Well, I'm almost to that point with mine, so we can do it together. I think I have 10 left. Yeah. Well, I can always help you with that because it's paper piece.
I still can't get.
But it's like on a Friday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But it's the first 26 on the day. Oh, whoops. I think it's the one that looks like a crown.
That's the double wedding ring. I haven't done it yet, so.
That one is still in my box. Teresa,
Pardon?
that one is still in my box.
This one is actually Katie's template.
Yeah, I know it's a different one, but the one I took with you,
Yes.
it's still in the tub.
You're not the only one. That was mine.
I will pick it up and
Yeah,
work on it again. It's
someone recently just finished theirs, so. Yeah. Mine
How long
is
have you
still
been
waiting
here?
to be quilted. We've been here 3 years.
Yeah, probably 5 years.
And June 1st, we will be in business 10 years.
I know, I find it so hard to believe. I like when we have fun though.
Oh, yeah.
That makes that so much simpler to do it that way. I cut this one like you did. Okay. Turn it over, flip it over. Yeah, pull your fold back so that comes in. Okay. And then trim that off, and then from there, you're gonna cut 1 3/8 wide, 3 times.
I don't know why, but
Well, I'm not
I've
gonna
come
confuse
to an
you. When you get done,
age
stop
that
and ask me.
I
'Cause I'm gonna
press
tell you the other way she said to
and
do
I
it.
can and all these things that I was too impatient for 30 years ago. I think I figured out I can press easier than rip.
You know when I made I did the block of the week. It was a free one, and when I did it, it was one of the first ones I had done that had all the piecing like this thing.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of those blocks are in this, so I'm used to doing it.
Right.
But it was the first one that I really, really paid attention, and I pressed every time I did a step on the block
Uh-huh.
and trimmed.
It makes a difference, doesn't it?
It fit perfect. My seams lined up like they were supposed to line up.
Yeah.
Like instead of just being haphazard, you know.
Right. Well, I think when I was doing what you call haphazard, yes, it was, but it wasn't fun to do it the more intense way. But I've got more practice.
Yeah.
I'm more patient now. I think so. Anyway, it's fun to do it, to
Yes.
do all those extra steps now.
Yes.
And that's why I always say you can do it whichever way you want, because there is no wrong way.
Right.
You know, there was no YouTube in the pioneers' wagons that went across And those ladies made gorgeous quilts.
Oh, they did.
They knew geometry, they had to. And then they wanted to keep their babies warm.
Because it's too wide. It needs to be 1 3 inches. 3 little marks. 1.
Yes.
Did you keep them?
I didn't keep my little tiny ones.
3, 8, 7, 8 for the little flowers across the white Missouri.
Yeah.
Because they're about that size.
I would.
Well, but I don't want to have to cut more fabric up the little tiny pieces.
Well, I want you to keep cutting. Gotta stay close to my mic so the recorder can hear. I want you to keep cutting, but about, well, at 11, I'm gonna show you how to sew these together. I had thought that we would be able to, just cut one and then we could put them together at the same time. But I think you can follow what I'm doing and you'll have the video if you have any trouble. And then that brings me to another thing I wanted to say. If you have your kit at home and want to cut the fabric for block 2, go ahead and do that, because then we'll have more sewing time. But I just want to say again, it's hard for me to walk, talk, and think at the same time. Here we go. Just make sure that you use this side to cut instead of this side, because remember, this side you're going to waste fabric. So use this side.
Where it says the words cutting.
Cutting, yes. Not what to buy, but the cutting, yeah. And then don't try to put it together, because I'll have tips and tricks all along, especially with these, the one next month that has all the triangles, the flying geese.
Okay, so I have another question.
Sure.
I'm going to be traveling.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but if you're posting to YouTube, then I was contemplating taking the fabrics, the pieces for April and May with me.
Yeah.
So I could take those with me in a suitcase and work on them out there. I have a sewing machine available, so.
Right.
Um,
It wouldn't even take a suitcase. You see the size bag I had mine in.
I'm going to take 2 suitcases, one with clothes and one with other stuff.
Oh, good for you.
Because I'm going to be there a month, so I want to be able to. I don't want to be going down to the quilt store every day to get some.
Yeah.
Their fabric, they're very proud of.
Oh, I see. The question was, when she's traveling, if I was going to have the recordings of the classes on YouTube, and yes, they will be. So whether you're home or away, you'll be able to watch them and get the instructions. I won't promise they're the best teaching videos you've ever watched, but you'll get to be with us in class.
So on the light blue texture, they're all the same size? Or am I reading it wrong? You know what, I have my own method of doing it.
This is for the strip set.
But everybody has their own way of doing it. And for me,
That's just
I use the ruler, and I set the ruler,
one strip.
I set the measurement on the edge of the fabric, and then I cut on this side of the ruler. And it's the same as what you're doing. So
This is one. Oh, yes, there's only one. Yes. There's only one. Because this is part of,
but mine's strip seconds for abdominal, so it's hard to say.
this.
Oh, I got you. One is on strip, and one is going to be 12. There.
It will be this one.
Okay. I was confused on that.
I was too. Okay, what did I do with mine?
So one is a whole strip, and then we do another one that is gonna be 12, 1 3/8 by 3 Got it.
So just a reminder, on the light blue texture, you're going to cut one full strip, the width of the fabric, 1 3/8. And that is going to be, it's going to go with the strip set. And then you're going to cut a strip 1 3/8. So that's your second one. And out of that, you're going to cut 12 of the 1 3/8 by 3 3/8. And those are your A squares or strips. So let me show you. This is the strip, the piece that is one strip, because see, this is a strip set, and then we're going to cut them down this way. You can see that at the bottom of your instructions. And then this is from the second strip you cut from the light blue texture, and this is piece A. And you can also see that on the back.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. So when you get to that, all you need to do is put that layer. And you lay it. You know which position they go in. I did not want to return to class. Okay, Teresa. Oh, I'm sorry, you're talking. I didn't see what you did.
Orange, yes. I can taste it for you. Yes.
You're almost done with that.
I know. If we were so busy, I would have been finished. Yes.
Hi guys. Am I actually cutting 2 strips?
Yes. You're cutting 2 strips. That is this strip right here.
Oh, it's to make the first. Gotcha. Okay.
To make,
Yeah, that makes sense.
I have a question for you when you come back here.
I was just explaining that on there too, because the whole thing is going up. This
That's
is
that
your
piece.
first strip, and then the second strip you'll cut these pieces from.
That's,
And I did
that's,
4 3/4.
that's what I was trying to figure out. Okay.
That's it. Are you having trouble? Yeah, I cut it the wrong, so I can't use this. What?
This is my
I
life.
cut it 4
But I don't know what yours are.
7/8. So now the whole thing is gonna be short. Well, but that's.
I was talking to
Does
myself.
does your label have a number on
You
it?
can make that if you see.
Well, look at your label,
I need more than that.
because
I'm listening. So. I did the same thing. I'll let you look at my seam. That might
Help you. You make the decision.
the back page of your pattern. Okay, this number corresponds to the number on those. So it will tell you. Light blue is 395.3. Okay.
And this one was short because I went back and stitched everything. Yeah, you can always put 2 rows of stitching instead of. Because that's just that much. And you can be more. So, I mean, that people are, because we're not machines. So, you do it your way, or the way you feel good about it. But I think you have to still do it. Yeah, we all do. We all make boo-boos. But I wasted this whole color. But you might be able to use it. Sure.
Looked over and see what color your fabric was. And he just looks purple. And I was looking for blue.
Right, I'm gonna read the label.
It says light blue, by God, it's light blue.
Does yours look purple too?
Oh, yeah.
To me it does. Alright.
Yes, you can.
Well, I just cut this one an eighth of an inch short. I cut
Oh, I hate those. That's why I hate the 3/8, 7/8. But I didn't even think about it before I started cutting. Otherwise, I would have just cut even.
Yeah, I was going,
And
why
cut it down.
are these four shorter than my other one?
Mm-hmm.
I think I can fix it in the seam now. I think I can fix it in the seam. I'm not buying more.
With the fabric is this way, right?
Yes.
So I
Just
need
so
to hold it this way.
3 indentation.
Choose my shows up. So at 11,
Okay, crisis averted. You lost what? Well, if I find it, I'm keeping it.
forgot which direction I was going.
Oh, look at all the gray.
Okay. I didn't have the worst
Gray.
ruler.
Is that what you're on?
And they've already gotten the others. Although I've been using this. Oh, yeah, this one's my favorite.
Yeah. 2, 4.
Question mark?
Nope.
Okay.
Jay, you did honey? Jay, you did.
Well, you want
Are
4
you
layers.
still?
How many layers do you need?
Baby.
Yeah, you cut that one first and then.
You're so patient. There you go. He was Thursday and he told me, and then I got sidetracked. I looked down and there was just standing
Yeah. He is so sweet.
He woke me up last night. Well, he had to go back. He's still up. So I put him down, went and did his business, and he ran back to bed. Like, please don't make me stay up. That's what I did. I just put him in the living room, I shut the door, and we go back to sleep. He's like,
He
please.
has figured you out, Mom.
He has. Oh, but once his sister got up with him, he was okay.
He's okay.
Yeah. He loves his sister.
But does Sissy love him?
She's starting to. She plays with him now. Okay. And she's got that hip dysplasia.
Yeah.
And so when she's in pain, and if he gets too rambunctious trying to get her to play, she'll go. But
Not a good time.
Yeah, but other times she will actually entice him to come next. And one morning, Mike found them sleeping next to each other.
Ooh, sweet.
So, yeah, she's taller.
Progress has been made.
It took a long time for my younger one and older one. Because the older one would always growl at the younger one.
Yes.
But they now, and the younger one would get up and bark real loud in her ear, trying to get her to play on batteries. And she would But now they can touch and don't growl.
That's good. They're getting there, but Molly still likes to keep him.
Under
I'm
her
still
thumb.
boss.
Yeah.
Now, he doesn't believe that for a minute.
Too afraid to get it.
Yes.
They're my comedy act.
That's what he was saying last night, that there are entertaining.
They're my comedy act, my old dog and young dog.
Well, they have started, I call it
it sharing. I think they call it stealing. But if one gets the bone, well, it's usually Molly. Well, then he notices, and he's just like a tiger on the prowl until she drops it, and then he grabs it. Well, she just goes and gets another one, and then they just, when he drops his, she goes back. So they just like rotate.
On the same bone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine too.
Oh, girl. What you doing, huh?
They're fun to watch.
She was getting fluffy again. I said it's not overeating this time. That's good.
I'm gonna put in a clean blade.
Oh, I said I was going to sew at 11, didn't I?
Yep, you did. I've been waiting ever so patiently, watching the time.
You know, I started a new medicine. The cardiologist started on a new medicine this weekend. It tells you you're going to have moments when you can't find your words and be a little forgetful. But I was having a before, so I just have an excuse. Yes. Okay, so it's a little past 11, so Teresa's late again, but that's okay. I want to show you how to put this thing together because it's really not hard and it's really fun. But if you're like me, when you sew these log cabins, sometimes I feel like I'm sewing them upside down and backwards. So on the back there is a chart. First thing we need to do though is we make that strip set. You have that, it's the light texture. It just says 4 strip set. It was the light blue texture and then the jade green. And you sewed them just like any strip set, and then you cut them to 2 1/4 inches. And that is what this piece is right here. Now what I did is, and you can do this too, I laid all my pieces out on, I had it on my cutting board. I transferred it to these pieces of paper so that I'd have them already ready for class. The reason I like this is sometimes I'm lazy, and instead of going, okay, I need A, which side does it go? I already know that this is A, and it's gonna go, so get the tape off, it's gonna go right here. And if I lay it down on this and fold it over, I am less likely to sew it on the wrong side. So let me sew. Oh, I don't have thread. Oh my.
Take this one.
Yes, I do.
I think Brenda stole it. Oh, it's over here.
No, I just didn't put it on. I forgot to put on my thread. Oh, okay. So glad that it doesn't take long, and I do have bobbin. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm shaking today. That didn't print out. Can you send me yours?
Okay. So I wish I could show you the actual sewing, but I haven't figured out how to do all that with the camera yet. So I'm going to sew those 2 edges that I laid together on that piece of paper. And I don't have the right foot, but I know where the 1/4 inch is, so I will do that. Yeah, I thought I had this all ready. Okay.
You want to put the camera on your machine?
I could do that. I could, yes. So, here were my pieces. I just folded it over so I knew where it was going to be. And then they do not press it until the end. So then I'm gonna do B, and you go around counterclockwise. So I'm gonna fold over my B, and I'll try to put this on my machine so you can see it. I think I accidentally turned it upside down. Okay, here's my machine with all my notes. All right. Got it upside down. All right, so now see, this is the main reason that I like laying it out like this and then putting that piece over, because walking this far, I can forget. So having it already laying where it's going to be sewn is a big stress relief for me. So I'm gonna stitch my 1/4 inch.
Teresa, can you plug in your
Say again.
batteries ready?
Uh-oh. Mike, do you have a... Okay. Now, what I would do is I would stitch all 12 at once. So you would have all your center pieces made, and then I would sew all those A's, clip them apart. Then I'd sew all the B's, clip them apart. And then now I'm going to show you how you would do this just by letter. So I just did B. I hope I do it right. I always have a picture or one that's made. So this is the one I sewed on. So you turn it clockwise because you're going to sew it on to the counterclockwise. So this would be C. And this is why it's nice to have them all in a pin and lined up, because then you don't have to dig through there and find out which one's next, etc. Okay, so I have A, B, C, and this is the one I sewed on, so I need D. And D will go here because I'm going to turn it clockwise. And if you're using the paper, you'll do the same thing. You'll lay it down and you'll just fold this over. But if you want to just keep them in a stack with their like pieces, you can do it this way. This is the way I think most people do. Made a mess. I did not hold my bobbin thread, and for all of you that I say that to, you can laugh at me now, because I always say you have to hold your bobbin or you get a yucky little boo-boo here. Do you have scissors?
Yes. Well, these are paper scissors. They should work.
That's the only kind I ever had.
Okay, let me try this again. And I'm going to go through the steps so you can remember it too. Okay, so this was the last one I stitched. This is my next one. And it's counterclockwise from the first one. Now, personally, I like pressing them each one because to me it laid flatter. I didn't have to fiddle with this as much. But again, you do what's best for you. It's just make it fun. As long as it's fun. Okay, I see what I did. All right. So now we have this much. So we're gonna turn it again, and we've done A, B, C, D. We're ready for E. I just kicked the dog's food. All right, this is E. And I'm going to hold my thread this time under the foot instead of on top. My chair's a little small, but a little short. That's all right. Okay, so this. All right. So see, we've already come this far. So now we're ready for F. And if you even want to look at your other one, you can see where it is, and it's easy to go A, B, C, D, E. So our next one is an F. And the way you'll know if you have the right one is it's gonna match. It's gonna be the right length for your block. That might be a little off, but not much. Alright, and I make it good because when we press, it's gonna be flat. Alright. Now we go this way, and we're ready for this one.
Probably just a piece. It's okay. It's a
All right. And one thing I forgot to mention, let me get this started so I don't have a mess, is I am turning all the seams towards the outside of the block. I'll show you. I'm turning all my seams towards the outside of the block. So when I sew this piece on, my seam is pointing up in the back. And now I'm ready for the dark blue. Yes. And did you see what I did? I was gonna put this new piece right here. Well, I just sewed this piece. I didn't rotate it. So if I had sewn it where I had intended, it would have been here. And believe me, I did that a few times. This is only the second log cabin I've ever done. So that's why I'm teaching you. It seems like I'm being, really picky, but that's why I'm teaching you how to keep it straight so you don't have to rip.
It is confusing.
It seems like it, but after you do them, there are people who said they can make these in their sleep. They love them. But yes, it's just a different way. So this was my last one I stitched on, and you can tell because see the seam goes all the way across. Turn it clockwise, and here's my next piece. And stitch. Alright. And we're almost finished with this block. Okay. So I just stitched this one. And I'm going to turn it. So I need, alright, just stitched this one. So now I'm going to put this one on. This one was H, and the one I'm getting ready to put on is I. All right.
Okay, so are we done? You guys
And I don't have my 1/4-inch foot on, is why my edges aren't as even. But you know what? It's not going to show. I have a nice secure seam. All right, so now we pull this out. We have this, which is J, I believe, yes. Yeah, turning it was the hardest thing for me to remember to do. But once I learned that if I look for the last piece I put on, it became clearer. But I made the whole block before I got it straight in my head. Sometimes certain patterns just are that way. Okay, so let's sew this one on because then we have only one more and this block is finished. So if you can imagine sewing all 12 at the same time and not having to stop and go find the right letter and, back and forth, these will go together quickly. That's why I said if anyone wanted to stay and work on their blocks, I think you could probably finish it today. So, okay, so there's that one. Now we have one more to sew on. Take the tape off. All right, so here's my one I stitched. I turned it, and now.
Oh,
And we'll sew this on.
Yeah, she did.
All right. So I'll push that out, and my camera is right here. And you just watched it, and after it's pressed, it will look like this. So yeah, now I could have done all 12 in not much more time than I did that one. So
Hey Teresa, so
yes.
because the gray is 108, can you show us an easy way to work with that?
To work with it, well, you're gonna fold it just like you did.
Just like we did before. Okay.
Do you need? You mean besides that? Did you need?
No, so we're doing the 100 because it's 108. It's going to be folded the same way.
Yes, you're always gonna try, and I'll explain. You'll always go from the width.
So it's cut 1 yard.
It doesn't matter how many yards you have. You
I know what she's asking. So what I did was I cut the 7 3/4 inch one because it's the widest one, and you may or may not have enough out of that to cut the rest because it's so wide. Okay, does that make sense?
Or you have, you'll have enough for some to cut down.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it wider than the other?
So, yeah, what I did is, I did exactly what she did. I cut the wider
Wider
one.
one and then cut down.
Yes, and then when I ran out, I cut another strip so that I didn't have to cut 3 or 4 different strips for the same, of different sizes for the same order, because I didn't want to waste time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was
Okay,
thinking.
it is easy.
You're
Yeah,
gonna
there
do
you
this.
go.
Watch
And
it do
the
it.
only difference I did is maybe you thought this was still too wide. You can fold it, but that's a lot.
That's a lot to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
So it was easier for me to use a little bit bigger ruler and a sharp blade. But I didn't have any trouble with my blade cutting that many layers. And then while I'm doing this, see what I do is I get that part in place, I start cutting, and then as I cut, I move it up, and then when I'm done, I come down to this bottom. Yes, because I don't like folding sheets.
And that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah. Well, when you're cutting, these little pieces and you've got all this fabric, it just makes it so much easier. So then now you don't have a piece any harder than your 45 inch. Make sure you trim them.
Can I pay for the month 2 today and take it home and cut it for next?
You can cut it here.
Even if I pay for it?
You have to pay for the whole kit before you can take it home.
I can't pay for month 2 and take home
Just that now.
Well, that was the
Hard
way it
to
was
do.
always done before. You have to pay for the kit before you can take it home.
You wanna take mine home and cut it?
Yeah.
If you cut mine
No, I just thought
You
I'd
can
help
come
out.
early, or maybe come another day. Bring those little
except I
boys.
work like 50 hours.
Oh, do you really? Oh
Yeah.
my god.
I work at the Y and Amazon.
Well,
You're a busy lady. And then you have 4 children.
I said just get some more to get it.
I'm here for you.
Okay, we had a question about the 108 because we substituted the 108 gray for the 45-inch gray, so you have less yardage, but you actually have more. But they wanted to know how to fold it, and you fold it the same way as you do the 45. It's going to be just a little bit wider, so you may need a little bit bigger ruler, but I was able to make it work.
I was able to cut one.
Did anybody else have any questions?
Okay, well, that's all that I can think of that we're gonna, that I need to record today. If I have forgotten something, on Wednesday, when we have our first class, I will add to it. You're also welcome to come to Wednesday's class. No, it's Tuesday. That's why I took notes. Is it that's right, because the snowman was Tuesday. And yes, I did finally finish that. First Tuesday and Saturday is what my notes are.
First Wednesday and Saturday.
Okay, well, I wrote it wrong. Let me check.
Yeah, so I cut that 7 3/4, and then I cut the 1.5 inches, and then I cut all those off. Now I've cut another 1.5 inches, and I'm doing the second one, which is 5 3/4 and 4 7/8. And then this will be the third strip that you add. And they're saying cut 1 3/8 by 4 inches and 1 3/8 by 3 1/8. Now I didn't measure this, but let's see if I have 4 inches left. I have over 4 inches left. I have 4 3/4 inches left. So that saved a whole lot of fabric.
It is Wednesday. Yes, it is Wednesday. So Wednesday will be our second first block. So that's not confusing at all.
Second class of the first block.
Every month we'll have
So I could come to
two
both.
of this.
Yeah.
You can come to both of them, yes. So if you have any questions, please email or call the store and we'll be happy to help you. I've had a lot of fun with this and I hope you will too. And we will see you next time.
I think I cut this at 1 1/2.
See how I get out of here.
This one was
Wonder how I
supposed to be 1
stop.
Yeah,
And I'm still
No,
not
that's
sure
just
about
cool.
this color I chose.
go down here to your K.
Go to look.
Oh, okay.
There, see the X?
I know what I did. I
There
caught
you go.
it. Make sure you pay attention to the width measurements.
Well,
Just exit up there.
okay.